Welcome to PopXcast, episode 142.
Welcome to PopXcast, a podcast that brings together the worlds of pop culture and science fiction in a way that breathes life into our inner child. From nostalgia to all things retro, pop culture news, film reviews, and the Retro Rewind, we explore all realms of geeky goodness. So find your comfy spot, top off your glass, and don't forget those pizza rolls in the air fryer because it's time for PopXcast. You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Here we go!
PopXcast.
I was born in it, molded by it.
PopXcast. No strings on me.
Autobots, transform! I'm Batman. By the power of Grayskull!
PopXcast.
We're doomed.
Goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
Here's Johnny! Never had a pet pony.
Hasta la vista, baby.
PopXcast.
Captain's log supplemental.
Negasonic Teenage. What the
I am the one who knocks. Excelsior!
All right, Excelsior, welcome everyone. This is PopXcast coming to you right here on this beautiful Father's Day. I know Otis is going to be talking about that here in just a minute, but man, it has been a fun day here in the Burke household. And I was just talking to Lindsay right before the show, and she was telling me, like, we had a blast today, too. Lindsay, before I tell my shenanigans, you got to tell the chat what happened in the Badger household today.
Oh man,
give
you
us,
guys!
Give us a 30-second, if you can. Just
I can't. I'll keep it bullet pointed. Yes, because we got a lot of things to cover today. It has been a love fest in the Badger household today. We surprised Dad this morning with a full-on breakfast, full spread, including Starbucks coffee. We surprised him with the new Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge game, which is iconic arcade goodness. It even features some toys and characters that aren't even in the movies. It's actually just merch that they've brought to life. So it's super fun.
Okay.
We games all day, and then we finished off the evening with made from scratch pizza.
come on.
Oh.
Come
My
on.
daughter was in the kitchen kneading that dough
Come on.
and sweating away in that
Praise
kitchen, and
the
she was
Lord.
just putting all the love.
There
And
is an
there's-
anointing
Oh,
coming from the
my
Badger
gosh,
household
it
right
was-
now.
There was so much. I mean, decorations galore. That man can't be loved anymore today. I think he's
man.
reached his limit.
That's awesome, Lindsay. You know, I'll share this really quick with you. Mom and Dad Bert came over today, so we got to go. Well, we went to church together, and then we got to have some family portraits. And one of the cool things that our church provided was free family portraits.
That's so nice.
So they're on it's on my IG if you guys are interested at Joseph Burke Arts. But it was a great time, and we got to hang with Mom and Dad Burke today. They stayed about 5-6 hours with the fam today, and it was just really good. And we had some good food. We went out and had dinner together. It was great. It was great. Austin, what I know? See, I'm not a dad by physical means, but I am a fur baby dad.
Yeah.
So I know that you and I kind of have that in common at the moment. So, did Buddy spoil you today, Austin?
He did not. He did get to hang out in the yard with us while we shoveled mulch into our flower bed for almost 4 hours.
Oh,
it was a process. It was soil. It was weed killer. We had to go to low. That was our day, right? But we got a lot of stuff done, and my dad will be coming later in the week to do a little Father's Day celebration with me. So I'm pretty excited about that.
You tell my uncle I love him.
I will, man.
I'm gonna I call him the Silver Fox now.
Man, it's turning into the white fox. That hair, man. I'm in for it, dude. When I'm 40, I'm in for it, bro.
I don't know, man. I've not really.
I got a little bit of action going on here that I'm not super excited about, but it's okay.
I'm 42. This is not just for men, y'all. This is
embracing the
man.
season, man.
Thank you,
The hair's good.
It's
on point. Chat, what is up? Welcome to PopX 142. I know it's been like 6 weeks since our last show, and the only person to blame for that is me. I'll be honest with you.
You've been a little busy.
That's an understatement. Life has been extremely chaotic for me, in a good way. There's a lot of things going on right now, and I'm in a lot of directions. I'm planning a trip to Atlanta for about 4 or 5 days coming up in a couple of weeks. It's just non-stop crazy. But the cool thing is I do get to see Love and Thunder in Atlanta. Oh, let's go, baby. But I'm happy with that. But chat, it is so good to be here with you guys. John Poffenbarger in the house. We got Jeremy Stoltz hanging out with us. DC was already getting the chat warmed up right as we begun.
She was warming up all the seats, I saw.
Yeah, DC in the house. So let's go ahead and get this open. Austin, if you will be so inclined, sir.
Hey guys, welcome to PopX, the place where the science fictions meet the pop cultures. We want to say Happy Father's Day. I know we've already talked about it, but to all of y'all watching, the fathers, the fur baby daddies, like Joe said, anybody who represents the fathers out there, man, Happy Father's Day. Hope everybody had an amazing weekend for sure. But I'm Austin Burke, the Appalachian geek at heart. We are back, and we'd like to welcome everyone joining us live in the PopX.live chat room. You guys can come hang out with us. Join the conversation at PopXcast.com if this is your first time tuning in to PopX. The first 10 to 15 minutes, we run down the numerous headlines since our last show. Then we're going to deep dive into all things nostalgic on today's Retro Rewind, which I'm very excited about because I've never been able to talk about this movie with anyone. And then at the halfway point, we're going to hit today's topic. And let me tell you, today's topic
is going to get good.
It's the biggest show in Netflix history, and it's
right
going to
now.
keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
Yeah, dude.
We ain't got to the end yet. We're still excited.
We ain't even there, man. We're only just a smidge of the way there, and it's just absolutely bonkers. But hey, guys, I am Joseph Burke, Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. I also joined Lindsay and myself. We're in now the Creative Multiverse, but we also now are Twitch streamers. Lindsay and myself. Lindsay does Badger Makes, and I do Joseph Burke Arts. But we also come together under the umbrella of the Creative Multiverse and under Badger Makes. And so a lot of times you might see me on Lindsay's stream, or you may see Lindsay on my stream, or you may see a lot of people on both of our streams. The cool thing about it is that's where if you want to see us creating art, we're right smack dab in the middle of Junetune. Today will be day 19 of Junetune, and so we're doing these art prompt challenges. You've heard us talk about this before, but it's fun. Come hang out with us, watch some art, have some good, funny conversation, and join us in the Creative Multiverse. The Discord link is right there, that QR code right below that beautiful Badger Makes emblem that you see on your right screen.
It's new and shiny.
It's so pretty. Look at that badger.
I'm over here looking at it on the stream. Oh my god.
So look, we got Joseph Burke Arts, Austin Burke, and Badger Makes officially represented right there on the right-hand side. It's all the feels.
That's so cool.
Yeah, come over and watch us doodle. We're darn good doodlers. We have fun doing it too.
We're darn good doodlers.
Darn good doodlers. Come on over. So yeah, you guys. My name's Lindsay Badger, Badges, Badger Makes. I'll answer to pretty much anything, even mom or hey you.
Hey, Mom.
If you guys missed
Mommy.
I know it's been a couple of weeks, guys, but make sure if you missed our last episode, which was 141, we talked about Doctor Strange and that multiverse of madness, and that certainly was mad. And then we rewound and got a little retro with Tom Hanks' Big, which was I love that movie so much.
Great movie.
So if you want to go check that out, make sure you go over to our official website, PopXcast.com, for that and all of the awesome other shows from our past collective archive of geeky goodness. And I know we have probably an hour plus of awesome content, but you guys, we need you to ask just one favor. If you would tonight, make sure the thumbs up button's clicked. If you haven't yet, and I don't know why you haven't, hit the sub button, turn the notifications on, because when we go live, you don't want to miss it, right? So we're going to do that. Podcast friends, I need you to click on the 5-star button, maybe write a happy face or something really nice in the chat box there, and hit submit. If you guys could do that for us, we're going to give you all this good content for free. For free. For free. For free. Call today.
Heck no, while supplies
Operators are
last.
standing by.
But wait, if you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll send 2. That's 2 for $19.99.
Yes.
Anyway, I digress.
Well, shipping and handle.
Texas is obscured. What? Anyway,
What about Texas?
something about it. All right, guys, are you ready? So we tried our best to narrow it down. It's 6 weeks of news. We've had several
sampling.
There's several passings that has occurred in those past 6 weeks, but we're going to push on through this, and we got the I think the best of the 4. I don't know, but don't go anywhere. We got headlines coming your way right here on PopX. Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com. And Austin is still hitting that thumbs up button, guys. You literally have to do your job, or this guy's going to be stuck in this position.
Good.
Don't forget to do it, everyone.
Don't forget to
do it all.
Don't
click it, unclick it, and then click it again. Just don't turn it off.
Click the
It'll be
magic
Click it,
button.
I'm not gonna move.
Click
so
it.
You gotta click it.
Click it. If you don't click it,
I think they clicked.
Click it or tick it.
I felt it.
Click it or tick it. Job. I'm the highway patrol.
Buckle up, Kentucky.
All right. Alrighty, guys. Leading off the news this week, last year, Destin Daniel Cretton signed a deal with Marvel to direct a sequel to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and produce an MCU series for Disney+. Now, at the time, everyone assumed that Cretton's Marvel series would be a spin-off of Shang-Chi. However, there is a however in the middle of that.
Oh,
the
boy.
Hollywood Reporter has broken the story that the show will actually feature Simon Williams, the hero known as Wonder Man. Wonder Man was created in 1964 by none other Mr. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. No stranger names there. And also, we had Don Heck in on the mix as one. These guys created it. And he was an Avengers villain starting off. There you go. So he may very well start out to be a villain.
So bad guy turned good guy.
Really cool character, though.
Right
Simon
on.
Williams was a disgraced business executive who made a deal with the Masters of Evil to gain superpowers and join the Avengers with the goal of betraying them from within. However, Simon ultimately sided with the Avengers, even though he knew it would cost him his life. Now, Simon died, but no one ever really dies in comics, right? He was resurrected in the 70s and became the member of the Avengers. Now, Simon's powers include flight, strength, enhanced vision, and senses, as well as superhuman speed, energy manipulation. Despite his name, he has no connections to DC's Wonder Woman. All right, so Wonder Man is also one of the rare comic superheroes to embrace life as an actor and a stuntman. So think like Mortal Kombat's Johnny Cage, but Marvel Comics version of that. Additionally, he was one of the co-founding members of the West Coast Avengers, who we've been talking about for a while. We have White Vision. We have Lady Thor.
Yeah, we've been watching this
Miss
team
Marvel
assemble for a while.
Now we may have Wonder Man. Austin Burke, I go to you.
They're doing so many things. I mean, we've talked about West Coast Avengers. We've talked about the Thunderbolts, and they just recently announced that that's in the works. Even though we won't have Thunderbolt Ross, that's sad. But there are so many, building blocks and puzzle pieces coming together. Now, I thought the Wonder Man thing was going to be in passing. I didn't think we'd actually get a Wonder Man, his own thing. So that's super cool. My question is, how do they tie this in? Who are we going to cast? I mean, that's a big character. I know it doesn't seem like a big character, but look at his list of abilities. He could be a big character and a key role in the formation of the West Coast Avengers. So I think this is great news.
Dude, it's going to be crazy having Wonder Man in the MCU.
Crazy.
It's just bonkers. I mean, he's so obscure, but at the same time, I remember reading in him in West Coast Avengers, White Vision in the 80s.
Yeah.
And you haven't heard anything of the hero Wonder Man in 20 years, and now they're pulling this one out.
I feel like this is going to be a prime suspect for an origin story series moment.
Yeah, I think
because I don't know anything about this guy.
Yeah,
and I feel he's going to start out like the text said. I feel he's going to start out as a villain.
I love how that starts and then it turns. That's going to be very interesting.
I'm excited because I freaking loved Shang-Chi. So
too.
if we have that energy and that creative pull into this, whatever this becomes, I'm all on board. I'm just going to say that right now.
Absolutely. All right.
Chat, what do you think about it? Let us know. Chime in.
Chime in on that for sure.
Wonderman.
All right, guys. Let's go on to the next one here.
Yes,
it's not an exaggeration to say that HBO has a half dozen Game of Thrones spin-offs in development. But prior to today, the 6 projects that we knew about were all prequels, including the upcoming House of the Dragon series. However, a 7th potential series has emerged.
7th.
That's a lot.
Stop.
That's a lot.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness.
And it may finally push forward the timeline of the George R.R. Martin, A Song of Ice and Fire, beyond the original show. According to the Hollywood Reporter, HBO is developing a Game of Thrones sequel series centered on Jon Snow.
Interesting.
Hello. Enter Kit Harington. Yes, Kit Harington. He's the actor that plays Jon Snow, and he will do it through all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. Obviously, he died, came back to life. He's still the same guy.
Yep.
Anyways, spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it by now, my God.
Where were you?
Although Harrington's frequently spoke about his desire to move on from the series, the Hollywood Reporter reports that he is attached to star in the spinoff, should it actually go forward. For now, there's no writers officially announced for the potential sequel, and in the final episode of the series, Jon Snow was exiled from Westeros, so despite the fact that he was the only living Targaryen heir, so he was kicked out,
Yep.
And instead of making a play for the throne, Jon reunited with the wildlings and returned to the true north beyond the wall.
Yep.
Which is where we left off. And so
that's the end of it.
Lord
essentially.
Knows, yeah,
the boat going out is the final scene.
The end scene.
The end.
So that story could go anywhere. It could be him continuing north and starting a new life elsewhere, or it could be him regathering his strength and coming back to reclaim what
the throne
is rightfully his.
What if he goes for the throne?
Yeah. I mean, he could do something completely different too. Who knows?
I'd like that.
Well,
that would be really rad.
His bloodline, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't around like 4 or 5 season that his bloodline is tied to the to the throne
we discovered
room?
that he essentially is hanging out with his aunt.
So he's there's a lot of weirdness.
There's a whole lot of weirdness in that show, friends. It's a not for children show.
If let's see, if Lord of the Rings was Mormon.
That's a good way to put it.
Wow.
Just joking.
That's
teasing.
Not far off. That is actually not far off.
It's actually really accurate if you think about it. You know,
Big love.
That
meets
literally
Lord
just
of the
came.
Rings.
That is brain vomit out of this right here.
incredible.
I apologize if any of my Mormon friends. I am just comparing television
I think we just
shows.
lost 3 subscribers.
There goes 3 people. They're like, okay, well,
Sorry guys, come back.
have fun
great.
storming the castle. Okay, we'll just say LDS then. All right. But yeah, I get you. I think honestly, I would be on board. The prequels, not so much. I don't think
A
they're.
lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it sounds like to me like they're. Martin is trying to create a multiverse, a Marvel
I
version.
adore the world. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna no hate on the world at all, except for the last season.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but the whole world that he created is absolutely glorious, but you're like gonna spread it too thin. It's gonna cheap out and be really hokey, and there's gonna be holes poked through the goodness.
And then you're going to
spreading
start
it
screwing
that
with the
thin.
timeline.
Yeah,
And
then there's
then
gonna be
you-
like time travel and like lizards and
Well,
weird stuff
and-
happening.
well, the more here's the thing though, the more shows you have, the continuity of the
people?
origins show is going to start getting skewed.
Yeah.
Because it's just not going to work out.
You're gonna have a split in the timeline,
Yeah.
and then
It'll be like comparing DC to Marvel at that point. But all right, so
Wow, we spent a lot of time on that.
we did actually. It's okay though. Let's see, Austin Burke, you're up. Buttercup. And this
Speaking
one-
of split in the timeline, oh, you see what I'm saying? Oh, this story's crazy. Warner Brothers and DC Comics have been in a bit of a pickle after Ezra Miller's recent antics. The actor has been arrested multiple times while vacationing in Hawaii for the alleged harassment and disorderly conduct at a karaoke bar. Is this the Reverse Flash? No, this is the Flash.
This guy. Man.
For an alleged assault at a private event. Miller is also being accused of grooming and threatening violence against a young woman who is currently 18 since she was 12 years old. Oh, great. Warner Brothers has yet to announce that they're doing this,
Ew.
what they're doing with the situation. And now a new report from Deadline claims that the studio is in a lose-lose situation. The report also revealed that they will no longer include the actor in future DC projects after The Flash, probably a good decision. There's no winning in this for Warner Brothers, Deadline wrote. This is an inherited problem for Zaslav. The hope is that the scandal will remain at a low level before the movie is released, and hope for the best to turn out in Zaslav's plan to make DC an explosively successful division like Marvel under his newly structured studio with its own new boss. The non-binary identifying Miller we hear is simply not part of those plans going forward in the future universe, regardless if there are more accusations and allegations or not. Now, my question is for you all, is this a good decision? In my opinion, I think it's best to be done. It's going to stink for the movie. It's going to taint the movie, to be honest with you, because we have somebody that is inevitably going to be recast. But I think you have to be done with Ezra Miller because this is psychotic.
Yeah, I think that's obvious.
Boy's got
that
some
it
daddy
needs to
issues.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy's got some daddy
We've got to
issues.
let that go. We
Yeah.
don't need to. If you no, that's just no.
Honestly, you know who I feel bad, and you guys will agree with me when I say this. You know who I really feel bad for in this entire project? Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah.
I feel bad for him because I kind of regard him as kind of like this. I don't want to say idolized, but this like character. This is not just a small event. Him getting back into a batsuit, guys.
No.
This is big freaking deal.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Miller? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like,
I
come
mean,
on, man.
Yeah.
Get your crap together, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep that out of the limelight. He does not need the
I think
attention. The attention that a celebrity status garners people like that don't deserve that.
Yeah,
attention.
it's just bad PR.
Yeah.
And
Well-
you're rubbing shoulders with some of Hollywood's greatest, Michael Keaton and Jason Momoa, Henry Cavill. I mean, what are you doing, bro?
Well, and I mean, Aquaman 2 got a little hit too. So I
Well,
mean, Warner Brothers.
Is that really a loss, though?
I honestly
Is it really a
prefer
loss?
you know, recast and move on is all I gotta say about that.
Yeah.
But,
Wait till you see
it's
you see the director's cut of Aquaman 1.
Can't wait.
Yes,
Can't
it'll be
wait.
great. Yeah, Kim Basinger's
Mega
coming back.
points for all. Anyway,
Kim Basinger's coming back to play. That's great. Justice for Johnny. You got that darn right.
that's
Jeremy
right.
Stoltz.
Justice for Johnny.
All righty. Well, this is an interesting story. I'm really curious to know what you guys think in the chat room. If you guys are watching this on the audio podcast or you're watching the replay, what do you think about Ezra Miller's behavior? I mean, how do you feel it's justified in terms of his position at DC and Warner Brothers and the character that he's portraying? Do you agree with Team PopX or do you disagree? I want to know. You're not going to offend us in either way, but your opinion does matter, and I want to know.
John says he votes Austin to be the new Flash.
Yes.
Yeah. You are my.
I think
Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna have to lose the stash, though. I don't know.
No,
if that's
I
gonna
will
deal
be.
with
There's
No,
no
I will be
stash.
Stash Flash.
No, you can't be.
The hair would like incinerate
Stash
off of your
Flash?
face.
Yeah.
That is just
Dude,
Stash
No.
Flash.
Barry Allen had no fuzzbuster, bro. Let me tell you that much.
That's
right
what
now.
I'm going to tell Madison when I pop into a room and go Stash Flash, and then I'm going to run away.
Just do it when you're naked. It'll mean a lot more. It'll be more
Stash
impactful.
Boom. See you later.
Alrighty, so next up we got one more news segment for you. This one's interesting. Comb through enough of the Doctor Who episodes and you will spot a vast assortment of famous Brits in the guest starring roles. But everyone from Andrew Garfield to Carey Mulligan to Bill Nye has shared the screen with different incarnations of the Time Lord over the years. But in 2023... the series will make room for one of the top stars of American TV. Via Deadline, Neil Patrick Harris has booked a role in the upcoming season of Doctor Who, which will coincide with the show's 60th anniversary. That's amazing. 60 years
My
in
goodness.
science fiction history. Harris didn't reveal the nature of his mystery role or say how many episodes he appears in. However, he did offer a glimpse at the wardrobe for the series in Instagram earlier this week. Check it out. I have no idea who the character is. It looks, it could be an American person, maybe like Alexander Graham Bell or somebody, Andrew Jackson. I don't know. It could be somebody like that. It kind of looks like that. Kind of like a president or something.
Yeah, it does.
But now, sporting an apron, okay, never mind. Sporting an apron, powder wig, and a pince-nez spectacles, Harris has the fashion sense of an old-timey toy maker. But his fierce-looking scowl suggests that his character is anything but friendly. In fact, showrunner Russell T. Davies claims that Harris is playing the greatest enemy the Doctor has ever faced.
My.
Well, okay.
he's definitely flexing his.
Well, it's not the
chops
Queen,
lately.
so we ruled that out.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
She's an
Someone spotted
evil Julia
tea.
Child then.
Let's make some mayonnaise.
I think Neil Patrick Harris is good. The series of unfortunate events series on Netflix, he was actually really good in
Really
that
good
role.
in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
This
get
is
it.
cool.
I'm a fan of Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
I really am.
yeah,
I really like his acting. But that is it for this week's headlines, guys. Are you guys ready for a little retro rewind and some Robocop?
Yeah.
Okay, don't go anywhere. Robocop coming your way right now. Here we go. Retro Rewind, and we are back, and we are going to be talking about 1987's super futuristic science fiction action male testosterone driven blockbuster featuring Peter Weller, Robocop. Wow. And it was interesting when we first started this. I was Lindsay and I, we usually will go over a couple movies together, and she's like, and I was like, well, what about Robocop? She's like, well, that's actually in the top 3 of my list that I was getting ready to recommend. I'm like, really? Okay,
Heck
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Austin, before the show, you were during the show, you were really excited to share about this. For me, I'll share this really quick, and I'm gonna go straight to Lindsay. For me on this, RoboCop, not a movie an 8-year-old should watch, but a movie that an 8-year-old watched probably 80 times.
It's true.
I'm just being real. I mean, for some reason, my parents thought it was just a great cop movie.
It's technically rated R.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For a good reason.
Hard R.
Very much. For the gore and the violence.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Wicked hardcore up in here. But RoboCop, for me, was, I think, at the pinnacle of the 80s male action star. And it's such an interesting story about humanity, dying, and rediscovering yourself amidst all the confusion. What does that look like? And it is infused with synthwave glory in this movie. Some of the shots are just, you've got the reflections of the pinks and the purples when he's walking through the certain districts of the city, some of the not so good safe areas of the city.
Yeah.
And then, especially when they're booting him up and you get that Tron grid coming and his sound effects included on PopXcast.
I love it.
But, it's just an amazing film. And for me, it really captivated me because it was something that was just so far out there. And for a kid who, I had a very overactive imagination, guys. Like, my imagination was like any little thing, like Swamp Thing. That was just like, for me, Swamp Thing was like insane. Like, how do you put a guy in a swamp and he lives in algae? How do you put a guy in a metal suit but his brain's human? It was that kind of thing. Another thing that really intrigued me about RoboCop is I loved to draw him. It was a challenge for me to illustrate him because there's just so many things on his exoskeleton that is just top notch for me. If you want a human cyborg, you want to be RoboCop. And I just wanted to walk around. My name is Alex Murphy. So anyway, Lindsay Badger, what do you think about Robo?
Oh man, you guys know that there are a handful of movies that are significantly better in your memory than they actually are in real life.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
Oh no.
And no, it's not horrible. Calm down. It's not gonna be a slaughter fest or anything. But here's the thing: is that I have like super fond memories of like this movie being like the coolest thing since sliced bread. Like Back to the Future, kick-ass level. Okay, and I feel like Back to the Future is one of those shows that can literally stand the test of time.
It holds up.
Very, very.
It holds
punny,
up.
But it holds up.
It holds up.
This one is solidly rooted in 1987.
Yes.
From the opening with the newscasters and the hairstyles and the graphics being all grainy and the whole it's dripping with the decade aspects, which I love. But I mean, if you're wanting to say compare it to today,
Lindsay, I'm just letting you know right now, my sweat drops are neon.
I know, Joe. I know. Right. And it's definitely a iconic, noteworthy movie for that decade. But it doesn't hold up to the test of time. Yeah. And that's where my memory versus actuality, very different feelings about it. It was just like all of the special effects, like the bullets everywhere. I mean, like you're shooting a bullet and there's like a million fireworks going on behind you, that kind of stuff. I'm just like, I can look past it because I mean, it's just like, that's what they had to work with, but it's like unrealistic and it takes my adult mind out of the storyline. And I'm starting to pay more attention to those details than the actual story. And so I find that a little bit distracting, but I mean, I like the overall story is sweet, but also kind of sad. It's like a bittersweet story, I guess, because the guy has like this, he's a family man, a cop, straight shooter, trick shooter, literally. But and then this tragic thing happens to him, and he wakes up and he has to kind of remember who he is. And then he's going through relearning how to deal with this life situation, which is kind of absolutely bonkers that they can create
and he's drinking baby
like
food
that, eating baby food, and all that. And so I mean, it was kind of fascinating to see how they went through the steps of displaying how they made that work. But like the Ed robot,
Ed 209,
Ed 209, that was just too much for me. I was like, get that out of here, that's garbage. But I mean, the Robocop himself was actually quite fascinating. I enjoyed how they did his programming. I enjoyed how his costume and his makeup was done, but like all of the other stuff was just kind of like distracting to me.
I get it. See for me though, and I'm gonna go to Austin. For me, like Ed 209, you got to think in terms of a kid growing up in the 80s, like Transformers.
Oh yeah.
And Mech Warriors and things like that. Ed 209 was like a real life Transformer for the first time on screen.
Yeah. Well,
is kind of the way I saw it. And it was stop motion animation.
Yeah, I was going to say they did the stop motion animation. It's very
it's choppy.
Pee Wee Herman claymation, that kind of, I mean, that's all the same practice of animation style, and I actually kind of appreciate that because I attribute that style of animation to that decade. So I love having that aesthetic there. I love the fact that he couldn't go downstairs. That was actually the funniest part of the movie for me.
Do you know the reason why they here's a fun fact for you.
And
this is the reason why he couldn't go downstairs and they couldn't film him going downstairs.
Why?
The way they had his suit snapped together, his butt would wiggle on screen. So it would, like when he's walking, it was really wonky. Here's a weird thing. They did a 90s television show with Robocop. There was a 90s television show. It didn't last very long. As long as it was like one in a season, maybe two. But they filmed the scenes of him going up and down stairs multiple times, and sure enough, there's that piece shaking. It's horrible to look at, and that's I'm glad that they make it into the cinema.
Okay, and then there's one other thing that I'm gonna let it go. The conference room, the fact that we had 2 murders happen in the same conference room, and why were we not in some kind of like test facility?
Yeah, man.
Instead of like an executive boardroom,
it's
does
power
not seem
hungry,
like,
bro.
Oh, here, have a gun and point it at a weapons
have another line of
artillery.
cocaine, and I'll buy that for $1.
Oh,
but,
there was so many one-lines out of there. I was like, did it come from this movie, or did the movie just play off of the culture that was already in existence? Because I remember that quote, "I'll buy that for $1" was very popular.
It came from Robocop.
Okay, so that's definitely, a lot of iconic one-lines came from there too. There was several
Austin
other
Burke,
lines.
what did you think?
Yeah, I get Lindsay's point to a degree. I do think certain things with the effects and Ed 209, right, doesn't look the best. But what I found to be interesting about this movie, it's actually one that I didn't watch for the first time until 2014. It's the first time I'd ever seen Robocop, and it was in preparation for the reboot. You guys remember the reboot? Yeah. So I was curious to see what this movie was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it when I watched it, and then of course was disappointed by the reboot because that's what happens.
It's not good. Yeah,
it's not good. But this was really interesting. What I think holds up about this movie is, and it's almost like they play it in a satirical way. Right, the look and peek into the cops and the sleazy dirtbags in the city and the over privatized economic state of this world, and like this crazy distinct future that honestly certain elements are kind of relevant to what we have now. Right, not obviously not all of them, but they did a nice job of predicting certain things.
They did.
You will. So that's kind of interesting. But
kind
you
of
also
that dystopian future.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of eerie the way that it plays out in this movie. And watching it back, I'm like, holy cow, this is kind of weird. But it seems like most of the lines, while being relevant, are played in such a distinct, like, and I hate using the word satire, but a way that is like a play on itself. But at the end of the day, it takes Robocop seriously. And it takes the backstory of this guy, Peter Weller's character, very seriously. So when he's, starting to come back to himself and he's getting those flashbacks of when he gets destroyed, right? That's how he ends up there in the first place. It's actually a really heartbreaking story. So that kind of got me this time around watching the movie. What else got me is, looking at this reboot that's PG-13 and then watching this movie that's rated R, it's like, you got blood, gore galore. You know what I mean? This is violent. Yeah. I mean, just the first time they shoot his hand off is violent. When Ed 209 mows through the guy in the conference room, that's violent, but it keeps going. And I'm like, they wouldn't make a movie like this today. They just wouldn't. And to me, that's a huge, boost for this film because it's so one of a kind. It's so one of a kind that they tried to do a reboot, couldn't hit that R rating. It was PG-13, so it's going to stand on its own two legs, even though it is from 1987. So yeah, it does distinctly feel like 80s, but I found some themes to carry over quite nicely watching it. I really enjoyed it.
Same here, and I always will enjoy the picture that you guys are seeing is one of the pictures I was talking about with the reflections on that chrome metallic suit.
I love the design of his suit. It's
the
really,
suit
really
is
nice.
just whoever there was a documentary I watched. Oh, excuse me, it's the one that's on Netflix. The movies that made us.
The movies.
There's a
Robocop
Robocop episode on there.
I love that series.
And they were talking about the formation of this suit, and it went through 9 different versions. And they finally landed on this one 2 weeks before production. But they wanted to create, in essence, this suit actually has a holographic metallic paint on it. So if you think about when a lady goes and gets her nails done in the salon, you get that holographic sheen on your nails. I know this because my wife, that's what she does. But it kind of looks like that. It's got a prism effect. You're seeing purples and blues and pinks. Which is a crazy cool concept because when you're doing neon and you're shooting in this gas station scene here and you got all the reflections of the neon on his suit, it's just bonkers, crazy cool.
Amazing.
But for me though, I mean, I enjoyed Ed 209. I thought Ed 209, even though he was stop motion animation and they didn't have CGI, I think the overall aesthetic. I actually owned the Ed 209 action figure. You would put the little strip of, you remember the little red strip of snap paper?
Yes.
And
the pop gun.
It's got the little
paper.
Yeah. You would put it in there and you could load it and he would snap.
Oh my gosh! Are you
if
serious?
I had that today, right now I found it on eBay.
Worth hundreds.
About $300 on eBay.
Yeah.
And the toy is probably no bigger than that. But anyway, this movie always will be one of the top. There's Bloodsport, Goonies, Back to the Future, Robocop, and Ghostbusters are seriously at the main top of that list for me. And Robocop's right there.
What have probably helped me make it a little bit more believable is that also you had mentioned the gunfight. It was just you shot him a lot.
Yeah.
But you didn't stop. Sure. You just shot him and some more until the entire magazine ran out just for funsies.
Yeah.
I think that's where it lost some of the believability to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, God, he's dead.
Yeah.
There's no possible way that you just unloaded 10 shotguns into him and his body is still that much intact.
Well,
even with body armor,
that's catering to that.
No way.
That's catering to that, male testosterone aspect. But
I know.
There's three things I want to
guns.
share right quick before we give our rating, and these are 3 really interesting facts that I think that is just very peculiar and interesting about the film.
Okay.
First one, depending on who you ask, it took anything from 8 to 11 hours for Peter Weller to put on the suit. For the very first time. Some people will say, well, it took him 8 hours. Another people in the crew will say, well, it took him 11 hours on the first day. By the time he was ready, the day was almost over. The first scene shot in the suit was when Robo leaves the target practice area. You remember when he pulls out his gun at the precinct? It took 1 hour to do that scene as the keys kept on bouncing off of Robo's rubber gloves. But when the scene was finally over, so was the day. They only shot a 1 hour shot in an 18-hour shoot.
Jeez.
Now, here's another interesting factoid. we were talking, I know that John Pofferbarger was talking about Paul Verhoeven over in the chat. He said the reason why he did this movie was because it was a retelling of the story of Jesus Christ. Now listen to this. The Christ influences include the death and resurrection of Murphy, his hand being nailed by the bullet. He stands in the crucified fashion, and his body is pierced with many bullets, and the last bullet is delivered to his brow. He is taken to the hospital where he is reconstructed. He is then resurrected as a half-human, half-machine. Jesus, at his resurrection, was also changed. In the end, there was a scene when Robocop goes towards Boddicker, and he walks on the water.
Whoa.
And that was the main reason why Paul Verhoeven directed this.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
That makes perfect sense now.
All right. Now, the last factoid, the criminal in the convenience store picks up an Iron Man comic.
I noticed.
All right. Yeah. That was intentional and done as a tribute to one of the main influences for the idea of Robocop. Also in the same scene, if you will look on the magazine rack, the comic rack, you will see Rom. Rom was a Marvel Comics character as well. Rom was a humanoid cybernetic robot. He went for about 30 issues in the 80s, and Rom also had a second appearance when Murphy did his flashback scenes, and his little son's like, "Can you do that again, Daddy? Can you do that, Daddy?" If you pause it right when the camera pans up, Rom is sitting on the end table as well. So it's a constant influence of Iron Man and Rom in Robocop. With that being said, let's go ahead and give our review and let's get into Stranger Things. Let's see. I'm going to give this an 8.7. 1987, 8.7.
Nice. I'm going to do a 6.7.
Nice.
I'm going to go pretty firmly in the middle. I'm going to go an 8 with this. I think this movie's really solid.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's a great one. And seriously, chat, what do you think of Robocop? Have you seen it recently? If not, I would highly recommend going back and revisiting it, especially with no kids in the room, though.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But chat.
Jared's got an 8.2.
8.2.
Nice.
Great. So thank you, Jeremy Stoltz, for the rating. But we want to know whether you're listening on the audio podcast or you're watching us on the replay on the live feed. Type in below what your Robocop score is. Robocop equals, and let us know. All right. So with all that said, I want to roll the spoiler alert warning, guys. It's time to get down into the craziness of Hawkins. Are you guys ready to go into the upside down? I know I am. Don't go anywhere. Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1, coming now.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
You have been warned. Oh my gosh. I don't even know where to start on this. Austin, where do we go, Austin?
Gosh, you gonna start at the beginning?
I mean, so obviously, this picks up right after season 3. Hopper is somehow, Eleven's trying to close the portal at the end of season 3, and Hopper is sucked into the portal and somehow is teleported through the upside down into a portal that exits on the other side of Russia, where there is a Demogorgon that is on the other side of Russia that come out through the portal that Hopper came through. And then there's a bunch of new characters. And the Hellfire Club.
Oh my gosh.
Which is one of the coolest things ever.
So at the end of that season, also, the clan has now been split into 3 different groups.
3 different pods of kids.
And we are still following the Russian timeline. So we have 4 timelines that we're keeping up with at the same time. And it's constantly kind of ping-ponging back and forth between them all.
Well, then you got 11's timeline.
Oh, yes. Well, there is that.
The Rainbow Ring. So there's 5 different story arcs going on at the same time here.
So let's start in Hawkins first, because that's where we leave off is them finishing up what they started there. We're picking up after the mall massacre or whatever it is. The fire at the mall is what their cover story is.
Yep.
Where they just finished. They didn't slay the Mind Slayer, but they at least took care of it for now.
Yeah.
And then we're picking up, and we have some high school drama going on.
Yep.
Weird people. The kids are grown significantly since then, because we've had a lot of pushbacks, and these kids are not kids anymore. They have now there's Lucas is on the basketball team. We've got several other things going on.
Well, Elle and Will and the Byers family are now on the West Coast in California.
Yes.
They're trying. I don't know if they're just trying to restart their life or hit the reset button on everything that Will has been through.
They got relocated there to kind of keep a low profile,
right?
So that Elle could have a somewhat.
It was that
life,
government agency that Paul Reiser is a part of that relocated her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she's like secretly being bullied.
And
so she's dealing with that. She's dealing with a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
Writing letters back and forth to, because there's no internet. Well, sort of. Did you guys pick up the huge Ferris Bueller's Day Off spoof with changing of the grades?
Yeah.
That was like.
Well, that was also War Games as well.
Right, it was War Games too.
Yeah, it was
both
because they're using a terminal to call in, which is, I guess.
Well, they did the changing of the grades, but then they also found the location of the thing with the War Games trick.
The longitude, latitude, and they found where to go. Yep.
So many things.
Austin, how do we unpack the 8 episodes? Is it 8 that we've already gotten so far? It's 8 episodes, right?
7.
7.
Yeah.
Right? 7.
There's a lot going on here, and I want to talk with you, Austin, for a second on Hopper. Just the dynamic, dude. This season got dark.
Very dark.
I mean, it went from kid campy to just full on horror and abuse.
They turned it up to 11. Horror.
I mean, I'm telling you, it is freaking crazy to even fathom just everything that Hopper is going through. The pain. Dude, that actor, oh my gosh. What's his name? Hellboy. What's his name?
David Harbour.
David Harbour, thank you.
Yes.
I was getting ready to say Harbinger, but I was close. Yeah. But, dude, solid acting. I mean, just the scenes, you just really want him to break free of this hell that he's in. And he can't.
Yeah.
He tries, and he's thrust back in chains. And
how much did you cringe when he broke his
ankle
foot?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
God. That was like nope sauce for me. I was like blocking the screen. I was like, tell me when it's done. Tell me when it's done.
Austin, save us here, man. What are your thoughts, man? Just pick one of the aspects of this crazy storyline and
Well, I love the way we started off in that first episode, because you immediately know what you're in for when our poor cheerleader gets picked up and her body is contorted and she's turned into a shell of her. In the eyes. I mean, it was so violent and bloody off the bat, and I'm like, this is
first episode.
This is not your kids' Stranger Things. All right, this is the people that have grown up with Stranger Things, and hopefully by now they're grown up, because that's what you need to be to watch this.
It's so funny you say that. Just real quick, I've let my kids watch Stranger Things because it's so fun and cute, and it's a little bit scary, but then it's like okay, it's tolerable. My 11-year-old is watching season 1, and she was like, I just scarred my child for life.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
But then she's like, but I'm gonna get to watch the rest of it, right? And I was like, you're responsible for your own nightmares, child.
Yeah.
Carry on. Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, so the deaths of the teens,
Well, it's nightmare inducing, and you're immediately, kind of given a taste of Vecna, and Vecna being a villain that you don't know. You don't know you're witnessing the origins of Vecna until the final episode, and then you realize this has been one big old origin story, and it all tied in together so seamlessly and beautifully. And specifically, one thing that I've seen this season twice. I've seen it twice, right? The second time around, 11's storyline played so much better because I knew what was going to happen, right? The first time I'm like, I kind of want to go back to Hawkins because everything in Hawkins was fascinating to me. And Max's storyline, we'll talk about Max here in a second. But 11's storyline, when you know the results, going back and watching and getting those Easter eggs and hints as to who he actually is, man, boy, this is a rewatchable season if I've ever seen one. And it got better thanks to that storyline specifically.
Yeah, that last episode was a mind blower
Bonkers.
for sure.
The Duffer
I was
Brothers.
chomping
incredible.
at the bit. I was like, Joe, I just finished the last episode. I want to talk about this like yesterday. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so, to catch you up, what's happening back in Hawkins is several teens are dying mysteriously. The cops are freaking out. The town square folk and the parents of the children are freaking out. They're holding like these meetings at the courthouse to try to figure out what's going on and who's to blame. But we find out something interesting in this series, in this season, that every death of every teen opens up a portal into the upside down.
It like pokes a hole.
It's like a little, and I think it's such an interesting dynamic because Vecna and his darkness is just ready to pierce through and come into this world. And I think it's going to eventually climatically come to that to some degree. One of the big crazy things for me, and Austin, you alluded to it when you going back in that rewatchability, which I'm doing now. I just restarted it again, and I'm on episode 3 of season 4, and I'm going back through it. But one of the most interesting things was specifically with 11, and it was alluded to lightly, but 11 was the one initially with her energetic power when Vecna did what he did in the Rainbow Room and turned evil. She was the one that created the first portal into the Upside Down. Now, let's fast forward. The group of kids figured it out to some extent that the Upside Down always was there and altered a dimension of a multiverse.
Right.
I think it was it not Lucas? It was Dustin had said it's been here for hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years. Yeah. But Elle was the one that tapped into it.
Yeah.
Actually,
opened it up.
I have it. They didn't 100% confirm this, but when they were in the Upside Down, they went through the Watergate, right? Nancy and Robin and the whole group went through Watergate. And they're in her room, and she looks in her diary, and the last entry was from before season 1, when her and what's his face were dating. Steve, thank you. And so this is like the year before season 1 is when 11 kind of did the portal thing, or it's like as she created that portal, I think it also split the dimensions into some little halfway room. So I think when she created the portal, it also created the Upside Down, because timing wise, that would make sense. So Vecna has kind of made his home in this little alternate dimension, while 11's been on the outside, and the whole world of Hawkins hasn't always had these issues. It's only been since 11 created that portal.
But they said, though, too, that Hawkins has always been cursed. And you're going back to the, is it the Arcane family? Or what is the name of the family?
What? Right. The house. You're talking about Vecna's house?
So they said that, not Arcane,
but it was the boy that was cursed. It wasn't the whole house.
Correct. But it started with him in the 50s or the 60s. Him as a child.
They didn't put a specific time on it, though.
You can look by the clothing and the period.
Well, wait, there was a time because of the newspapers.
You can look at the clothing and the period, and I think that's when the curse of Hawkins started with him, because he killed his whole family, and nobody thought it was him. He's just a normal guy.
But the boy was the one that was torturing the family.
Right.
But that's how he got to Hawkins and the Rainbow Room and turned crazy and turned Vecna. So that's all the Vecna storyline.
That's kind of my mindset too. Is this world has all, because when he first goes into that world, it looks like hell. That's
It
what
does.
it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And you can't see any recreations of any houses. You can't see the recreation. It just looks
Yeah.
like these caverns and these pits. I think maybe
He created Hawkins underneath.
I
you
think maybe the Upside Down was a creation, like mimicking the city, the place that he
That
knows.
makes sense.
Because when he first gets there, it's like just this desolate, almost like this
Barren.
fiery desert.
That makes sense.
But as we go, it's like, oh, now there's a recreation of us. So I think he could have a big hand in that as well. I think it's a mixture of he and 11, obviously, but that kind of came about after he got there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man, there's
There's
much.
a whole lot there to
There's so much
speculate on.
meat here, dude.
We could pick apart the Upside Down.
I
Yeah.
seriously
Definitely
got chills in the Rainbow Room scene on the
Oh
final
my
episode.
gosh.
You know, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really see it coming until about halfway through that episode when I realized
Same.
that actor was Vecna.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was
when I realized it, I didn't say anything to Alex, my wife, because we watch it together. And my God, when the camera peered down on his wrist and you saw that he was number one, the one that they never talked about. What? Yeah, it was insane. But let's go to the West Coast right quick. You see a picture here with Elle and Surfer Boy Pizza. You know,
Argyle.
we got Argyle in there. We got Byers and just the whole Byer family here. It's interesting here that even though that she has lost her powers, there's this one scene where Elle is getting extensively bullied by this group of girls, and she does this thing, and they all start making fun of her, and it's just a horrible scene. You feel for her.
Yeah,
And
it's very cringy.
It is cringy, very cringy, and there's so much like emotion, but at the same time, I go back to that word darkness. Like even in Elle, she's going through her own form of hell here.
Yeah.
And it's the violence with Hopper, the evil and darkness with Vecna, and the pain and suffering with Elle. It's just, And
I
then
think
there's
it's-
Max. We haven't even talked about Max yet.
Well, I think it's so funny that Eleven's went through all of this. Like, she's fought demons and she's faced the biggest foes, but her ultimate, the biggest villain she faces is a bully. And that's, but it makes all the sense in the world because
The trauma.
that's where she is right now in her life. And they play that so beautifully. It's just those parallels, man. I think they're done so well.
Yeah, it's haunting, actually.
Yeah.
Some of those scenes, I'll be honest with you, I was bullied in school. I'll tell you that. Some of those scenes were kind of hard to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of those scenes were kind of hard to watch. It stirred up some stuff. I won't say that I was a bubbling mess on the couch. I wasn't, but there's this queasiness to my stomach that returned that I hadn't felt in a while in watching. And Millie Bobby Brown her acting. Oh my gosh,
She's great.
phenomenal acting between her and David Arbor and oh my gosh, just the whole cast is just on point. I don't know the actor that plays Vecna, but his demeanor is like the next Freddy Krueger. Jamie Kimmel Bauer. He's the next horror icon, guys.
Yeah.
This guy is going to be cast in a multitude of things.
He's great.
He's amazing.
Either that or a Calvin Klein ad because he's got them cheekbones.
He does.
Well, he's got a lot going for him. He's got a lot going for him. So there's a couple of bullet points here. So the secret base in Nevada that we find, which is literally a door to nowhere. So Paul Reiser's character returns, and we haven't seen him in quite some time. I think. When was the last time we saw his character? Was he in season 3?
I want to say
question.
he
Okay, I need to go back and watch season 3.
Hawkins.
Hawkins was the last time we saw him, and I think he was the one that relocated the family.
Yeah, so he was
Yes.
at the end of season 3,
He's
but
in
barely.
se- yeah,
It's
end
brief.
of season 3.
If he wasn't at the end of season 3, maybe a phone call or something to that extent. I can't remember.
He was the responsible for the relocation. So
But
he would have had to have been 3.
It's interesting though the conversation he has with 11. He's like, I know that you're going through this, and I know that you think you don't have your powers, but there is a way. And we see something very familiar, Eleven getting back into that pool of water, submersing herself, and going into that.
Was it Nina?
Yeah, Nina, which is that machine that feeds the memories of what she went through, which is crazy to even think about, but they're feeding memories into her mind to help her remember her power. And it's interesting that to see she got bullied in school and she got bullied in the Rainbow Room and in the Hawkins facility as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, dude.
Yeah.
Even your own peers that are, telekinetics or whatever you call them, in the institute, are bullying you as well, and it's just crazy to even think about that, and just the emotional pain of, I'm bullied outside, I'm bullied in here. What is my purpose? What is my mission? Why was I created? Who is my dad? My mom. And then the scenes of her being thrust from her mom's arms and her mom trying to come and see her. And it's like, you never had a mom. Your mom died. Yeah. That is some deep, dark stuff, man. Some crazy stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about Max and her obsession with a certain song that has blown up.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, honestly, I have had this on my playlist for a while. I would say at least 5-6 years. The fact of the world is now just rediscovering Kate Bush.
Even Kate Bush commented, she was like, well, I'm glad somebody's liking it now. It's actually doing better now than it was when it originally came out.
It is. It absolutely is.
It's a great song.
In context to the actual show, it was her favorite song. It wasn't the only song she ever listened to, but it was the song that brought her back from the Vecna trance and saved her life that first time that she got drug up into the air and prevented.
That's a really good point too. Really quick, Lindsay, is that the only way to get out of his trance when Vecna is coming for a teenager is audio, which breaks the telekinetic bond and brings you back.
It gives you something to focus on.
All right. And so you're talking about Max.
Yeah. So she just lost her brother in the mall incident from the season before. And so she is struggling with the guilt. She feels like it's her fault. She feels like their relationship was not on the best of terms at all. He was kind of a jerk, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
To say it lightly. And Vecna uses that guilt against her whenever she's in that trance. And we actually see Billy.
Cameo.
Yeah.
We had a cameo of Billy in the Vecna land and the Upside Down, and he was not looking too good. I'm going to say. He was not looking so hot.
He looked a little rough, yeah.
So, they pull her back out from the trance, and then we're kind of just working through the trauma with her in the first part of this season. So I'm really kind of feeling for her, emotionally attached to that storyline part too.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I feel that Max has more story to go in this series as a whole.
Yeah.
Her character, I believe, is she sees parts of the Upside Down. And I think she is the first character to piece together the clock, the house, and figure out that the Crawleys.
I think you're.
I think that sounds about right. But she's figuring it out. But her team helps her put the puzzle pieces together to figure out it's the old dilapidated mansion down the street. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that her growing up, she's had a really rough family life, and so it's caused her to put up a lot of walls and a lot of trust issues. And so I think this is the season where she's going to be starting to work through some of that and trusting her tribe a little bit more and leaning on them. Yeah, which is something that she's like, no, I can do it. I'm doing do what I want. That kind of attitude. And so I feel like you're going to get some serious growth out of her for the rest of the season.
So. Creel, the Creel family. Not Crawley, Creel.
Okay.
Let's talk about Robert Englund.
Well, I was going to say real quick, I think if you want to name an MVP of this season, it's got to be Sadie Sink as Max. I think she's the... And everyone was amazing, right? I have no qualms with any of the performances, but she definitively stole the show for me, and she's actually giving a performance here to where I'm saying she's going to be a superstar. Like I saw Emma Stone, I see like shades of incredible, like top tier actors in her, and what she did in episode 4 with that scene, man, the emotion in that moment, you believe she's going to die. You believe it because they do such a good job, and that's I think another thing, and we're getting into that next, but the Duffer Brothers elevate the stakes here to where we don't know who's going to make it. And there's still 2 episodes. And I have a feeling someone's going to die.
I agree with you, Austin. Something's going to happen, and somebody's got to succumb to Vecna.
Yeah,
who it is, we don't know. And my God, we still got a whole season to go in season 5. I mean, it's just. I mean, I think that'll come out 2029, I believe.
Yeah.
But I will say this much, and that was a joke. But I will say this much: the Duffer Brothers did go on record to say that season 5 will be a time jump. Will be a time jump
to the 90s, yeah.
To the 90s.
Gotcha.
So,
did we want to unpack Max a little bit in the Hellfire Club?
Man, Eddie Munson.
Eddie.
Or Eddie, not
Eddie Munson.
Max. We just finished unpacking Max.
No. Eddie Munson is probably one of my favorite new characters.
He's awesome.
He is like pure 80s hair band.
Dude. He's great.
Everybody thinks he's like the Antichrist in Hawkins. But he's not. He's like literally a nerd that plays Dungeons and Dragons.
He is such a dynamic character. I love it.
Yeah.
He enjoys the attention he gets from the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Because it puts him in a light that's not a nerd.
But for some crazy reason, the Hellfire Club, which is the club he's a part of, is their name is attached to the deaths of these 3 teens.
Yep.
That is happening in Hawkins, and of course somebody's got to get the blame because nobody's going to believe that a supernatural guy from an underground portal world is going to come out and kill you. It's just, I feel bad for Eddie. You know, there's a couple of
it's an unlikely pairing that Chrissy came over to his trailer.
Yeah, and then he saw her die. In front of her.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, what are you gonna do with that?
Not
you
much.
Run.
Really quick, before we go into more to Eddie, I want to go back to Max 1 second. The scene when Max is in the swimming pool and Barb. Did you see the scene with Barb?
That was with Nancy.
Was that Nancy coming out of the mouth?
Yeah, because that was Vecna trying to get Nancy. And
I thought that was Barb. I was like, justice for Barb.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Hey, Chrissy, is Chrissy the new Barb? Is she the new Barb? Because we get just a little bit with Chrissy, and then she's dead. You know what I mean? It's just like a little bit. So to me,
I'm still holding out. We're going to get a cameo from Barb at some point.
I'd like to see it. Yeah.
But anyway, Eddie Munson's character, I believe, is a huge addition to the show. There's several new additions to the show. You know, you've got the Russian pilot that's taking the buyer.
Oh gosh, the smuggler, the
Yuri,
peanut butter smuggler,
Yuri or something like that, and it's just like, okay, interesting character. But I think
Yuri, right?
Yuri, yeah. Out of all the new ones, Eddie is probably my favorite, and I love the fact that Dustin and the crew are just hanging out. Lucas's sister even is part of the Hellfire Club, and it's such a cool thing because it reminds me a lot of my childhood growing up, because I remember probably, let's fast forward, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. I remember coming home, and we weren't the Hellfire Club. We didn't have an actual club, but 4 of my buddies, we would all get together. We would play Sega Genesis and then Dungeons and Dragons. And it reminded me so much of that. You know, it's just like, holy cow, reminds me of my little squad I had back in the day. You know, little Joe running around with his Trapper Keeper notebook playing Dungeons and Dragons. Little Joey. Yeah, it was so funny.
Did anybody else do a flip on Eddie? Because when Eddie first got introduced, I'm like, why does he look so old? He's like, well, I've been here for a while. I'm like, all right. Then he has that big speech in the lunchroom, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's going to be just over the top too much. And immediately, as soon as he starts interacting with our characters, and especially when we got a little bit of him and Steve, because Steve's jealous because that relationship with Dustin, I'm like, I'm really growing to love this guy. And then you get that other side of him. It's like, no, this is a genuine, awesome dude that just loves to love things, and we love to love him. And in my opinion, he could end up being one of the best characters on the show by the time it's all said and done.
Agreed.
I can agree with you on that. I feel like they did that intentionally because
they did.
That's the front that he wants to portray to everyone else. He doesn't want to let anybody in.
Mm-hmm.
But once you pull that veil back, he's actually a really nice guy.
Right.
And I love that they did that with that character. It's very dynamic.
It is really cool, and I love the fact that they're still playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they're enjoying it, and they're recruiting for more. And who you think, you look at the Hellfire Club and this group of guys, you think, oh my God, this is a bad gang from an '80s movie that's all too familiar, and they turn out they're all just a bunch of nerds, and it's totally not what you think it's going to be. And I love that aspect. I was like, finally. You can dress in your black leather vest and not be stereotyped as a bully. You're actually a nerd playing a board game. For me, that was great. Also, too, I wanted to share a little bit. Let's go back to the Rainbow Room for a minute. The scenes where Elle sees herself in the mirror as a child. Amazing CGI on that, by the way.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was like Lucasfilm level CGI, I would say. But it was very eerie because she was seeing herself as a child, but in her physical form, she is the older 11. And the scene you're seeing here is from the final confrontation between Vecna and Elle in the Rainbow Room. And this is when all hell breaks loose. And Daddy finally says, all right, well, we want results. Let's just give her results. Let's go all in and let's show her really what it's all about. And my God, did we ever see everything? And we see a lot about, the Papa's character. We see a lot about Paul Reiser's character, that they're really not bad. We all the time think that Papa's out to just kill them all and get what he wants. Yeah. No, he's trying to protect 11.
I never really, you have to have somewhat of an attachment to these children because you've literally had them since infancy.
Yeah.
But he's so stale and stagnant about his rapport with them that it's really hard to read. It's like, is it just a science experiment? Do you actually care if they die or if they're injured? I know you're as a scientist and you're playing that role for science,
Science.
that you've got to keep that separate a little bit, but it's like he's always been really difficult to read for me.
I get that. As you could see, guys, there is so much to unpack here, and we haven't even talked about Argyle and Will Byers' brother toking it up in the back of the Surfer Boy van.
I love that we're getting a different angle for Jonathan. I feel like Argyle's a good thing for him. It's letting him not be so stressed out all the time and kind of chill for a minute.
The one scene where he's like, dude, go to the van and do your thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jonathan's always been the father figure. He's always been the one to carry the man of the house role, the extra stress of trying to watch over his brother while mom's working, selling Encyclopedia Britannica or going to Russia or whatever. She's a little hoo-hoo, so brother's got to be there to watch over the little guy. So I'm glad that he has this moment in California to kind of just let loose and be a teenager, to experience young adulthood. He's not in high school anymore.
No,
he's college level. This is the time of his life where he's supposed to be doing things like this. So I'm glad that he's actually getting to experience that part.
And one more thing too is Dustin's girlfriend that lives out in Utah.
Yeah, she's
I love
we can't forget her character. She does make a reprisal in this. Of course, we all know her from season 3. Turn around. We know her from singing that, the Never-Ending Story. But in true fashion, the group helps her to unlock the coordinates of the longitude, latitude of where Elle's being held. And pretty cool how the little scene there with the father, I can't use the computer anymore. And, playing with the power switch and the whole family getting involved. And the dad's like, what? It was a really funny scene.
You guys, I'm loving over in the chat. We're having a who's going to go next conversation.
What's up, real life? Welcome.
There's predictions of possibly Jonathan. Nobody would miss
Look
him
at
if he was
Jeremy and
gone.
John and
Will.
real life here. They're
I know they're all
chatting it
going
up.
for it. Do you guys think Steve's gonna die? We do need to talk about Steve because that was a huge cliffhanger at the very end of the last episode. He was just like, is he gonna go? Because I think if we lose Steve, I'm gonna cry.
I
really think I'm gonna cry hard on that one.
Man, he got injured pretty bad too. Those things bit the crap out of him.
Those bats were wicked.
Whatever they were, but I'm worried though. I wonder if he's going to get infected from something in the Upside Down and change.
Yeah.
That's what was concerning. He's
gonna be coughing up slugs or something. I don't know what's happening.
I'm worried about that.
I'm gonna make a prediction now.
Okay.
Nancy's not gonna have the opportunity to choose. It's going to be Steve or Jonathan, and her choice will be made for her. One of them's going to die. One of them, Steve or Jonathan, because Jonathan has. I think I like what his character's doing now, but it's not as prominent of a role. And then I think Steve, we've grown to love him so much that would be a devastating loss. So
don't toy with my heart, Austin.
I'm just saying one of them. I think one of them's going.
No, I feel you. I do feel you.
I feel like one's expendable.
I think Jonathan's more expendable.
Jonathan's more expendable, but I think too, what a sucker punch to the gut if it was Steve.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
Because you don't know. I mean, we have literally no inclination. I mean,
or it could be Nancy that goes. I mean, this is we're like playing Clue over here in the chat. I'm loving it, loving it, all of it. That's so.
What if it's Eddie?
Oh, I would be so mad. Oh.
We need Eddie for comic relief.
Here's the thing. It's
so
either I have a feeling strong character roles. It's either going to be Steve or Eddie. If it's going to go strong character roles,
I also think it could be Will. I really do. I mean, Will. Look,
he's already been there.
Will is. I know, but
Will's chapter's passed though.
I think they've forgotten.
He was such a heavy
Will.
focus.
I think honestly,
Will is my biggest detriment.
Can I pause you there when you just said I think they've forgotten about Will?
Yeah.
Go back to season 1. What is Will's birthday?
Yeah, I saw
April 22nd.
Yeah.
Literally
forgot about him.
The day that they're at the skating rink, they flip over the newspaper and it's April the 22nd. They're literally there celebrating the fact that Elle is with, and it's April the 22nd, and nobody gives a dang. Yeah. The mom is in Russia. It's just like, I mean, and he's just like, and he's not saying anything. I don't know if that was intentional or unintentional. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it's just weird that the day that they're at the skating rink and the incident with the skate on the face happens is April the 22nd. Yeah. That's just weird. Yeah.
Poor Will, man.
Yep.
But
there's a whole lot of...
Here's the thing, though. Will was in the Upside Down a long time.
Oh, yeah.
What if some of that story comes back into rotation?
Give him something to do. He needs something to do.
He needs something to do. He's a side character right now.
I do love all of the nods back to the original season with the lights and all of the notes on how to get in and out, and the Demogorgon coming back in. I love how they keep
the light bright was amazing.
Brilliant.
And can we talk about the rope that literally tore through both worlds?
Oh, speaking of random cool retro items, Joe, on the coffee table. In one of the episodes, I think it was the first or second episode, is Simon from the trivia. Yeah, exactly. So the most popular game in the 1980s.
Well, a friend of mine, I don't know, was it Dez that posted this on the Discord, Diamond Dez, that if you can go to your convenience store right now and get Surfer Boy Pizza, which I believe is rebranded. I don't know if it's Red.
It's like the frozen pizza.
Is it Red Baron or is it?
Sure, I'll look at it.
I'm curious. I know that's one of the major companies, but it is literally the pizza box from Stranger Things. Surfer Boy Pizza.
Oh yeah, yes. I saw that. I did see that.
Also,
let me take a look. See,
they're at Target right now. You can get a Light Bright Stranger Things themed Light Bright for less than $20.
That's great.
If you want to explore your creative side and do some light pixel painting. And if I'm not mistaken, also, this is not Stranger Things related, or yet we don't know, Speak and Spell is back at Target. Speaking spells from E.T., the little thing you would type in.
Get you some Reese's Pieces with that. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. So the speaking spell is back. So there's some 80s infused nostalgia for you.
I don't see an actual brand other than the Stranger Things.
And yes,
brand.
Jeremy Stoltz says, pick up Kate Bush's CD. Well, we don't really use CDs in the 80s. We
I'll
use
buy a
vinyl.
CD just for you, Jerry, and then I'll download them.
How about get the vinyl, Jeremy?
Or just listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So, guys, we're not going to rate anything right now.
Because we're not done yet.
We're not done yet. We can't rate season 4 because we still got, in about a week and a half, we got it hitting.
2 more big, gigantic
But
popcorn bucket episodes.
The cool thing about this is, and I want to let you guys know, we are coming back possibly next weekend, and we're going to be doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi refresher episode. We're going to review the entire 6 episodes. If and only if we can come back before July the 4th, we'll definitely rehash season 4 and give our official season 4 review. So it can be next weekend, of course, because that's going to be planned out. But we're hoping around the Thor: Love and Thunder episode. Yeah. We're going to do a Stranger Things. We're going to drop it in there. We may even take out Retro Rewind and discuss Stranger Things as the Retro Rewind.
That works for me.
Good idea.
So
that works for me.
But guys, we're almost 30 minutes over. I mean, I knew we were going to go over because Stranger Things is just so much. And the chat, you guys have been blowing up. Michelle, is that Michelle Alexander in the chat? Austin Daniels, I could see everyone live too because they. Oh my gosh, look at the chat is just talking. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Got to come back for the next time we talk about it, y'all.
Yeah.
You got to come back.
Yeah,
It's so good.
It's so good to see you guys, John Poffenbarger, Jeremy Stoltz. Let's see here. We got Billagabara. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody. Amir, what's up, Amir? We got Nubadoom. Welcome, Lori Wilkinson. That's Lori. That's creative, crafty Lori. Jennifer Fisher. It's so good to see everybody in the chat room. Michelle Alexander, I love you. Hope you're doing well. So, guys, we're going to wrap this up on episode 142. But what a jam-packed episode this has been.
Gosh.
It's been great. Whether you're listening on our audio podcast or you're watching the live replay, please, what has been your favorite breakout moment of Season 4, Volume 1? We want to know. Drop it in the chat. Let us know. What has been your favorite moment? If you can even narrow it down to a favorite moment. Yeah. Because for me, it's a lot of favorite moments, but there's a couple that really do stand out for me. But Austin Burke, you can check him. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. He is killing it right now on the reviews. He's all the time doing live Q&As.
Always good stuff.
If you want to ask a movie question or a series question when he's live on his Q&As, he will talk to you live.
He will. He's
good
at it.
Amazing. And then if you guys want to catch Lindsay Badger and myself later tonight, probably in about 30 minutes or so after the show ends, we're going to be over on Twitch. We're going to be working on some June Toon art, so you can see Badge and myself on that. If you want to connect with us, there's a Discord link on the right-hand side. But with all that said, I believe it is time to wrap it up officially. Austin Burke, I pass it to you.
Yeah, you guys find me at the Burkinator and on YouTube, all those wonderful things. We're part of the newly formed creative group known as the Creative Multiverse. For more great media, content, artwork, and more, find us on Facebook groups and now on Discord. Find it right there at the Creative Multiverse. If you are a creative, produce content, or have a talent, we want to see it and would like for you guys to share it with us in the multiverse.
Oh, yeah.
Multiverse.
Indeed.
Yeah. Guys, my name is Lindsay Badger.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
This is me. If you guys want to follow along with all my art adventures, it's Badger Makes everywhere on all the socials, and I will be going live after this show. Give me like half-hour break. Be going live on my Twitch channel here in just a little bit to get some art on. If you guys want to connect with PopXcast, we are also all over the social media places, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter. Everything is that handle at PopXcast. We even have email if you want to do it old school and do popxcast@gmail.com for any of those comments or suggestions you might have for future shows. And if you want to check out any of the awesome archive that we talked about earlier in the show today, and this episode also will be there, official website, www.popxcast.com.
Beautiful. And guys, if you're in the chat right now, I went ahead and pinned the direct link to Badger Makes over on Twitch. I said going live in 30 minutes. So literally all you got to do is copy and paste that URL into your browser. Make sure you bookmark it and make sure you follow her. Because it's going to be, she does great art, and she has a great group of people that surround her while she's doing the art. So if you want to hang out with Lindsay and myself in a little bit, click that link, come over, wait for us to go live, and we'll see you shortly. Yep. But from all of us here, man, great episode. I could not do these episodes without the love, the heart, and the passion. These guys don't get paid a dime for anything that they do. We all do this out of passion, because we love talking about retro things. We love talking about movies and series. We just love to geek out. We are our own Hellfire Club. You know what I mean? So this is what PopX is really all about. I'm Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts, and you can find me all over social media at Joseph Burke Arts. Hats off always to Team PopX. Could not do this without Lindsay and Austin. But that's it for this episode, and we'll see you next time on 143. We are tentatively scheduling it for next weekend, July the 26th, where we will do the official Obi-Wan Kenobi wrap-up from Disney+, and we will talk about Miss Marvel as well. By that time, we will be at the halfway point for Miss Marvel, almost, so we can give you a little bit of insight there as well. Tentatively scheduled 1 week from tonight. All right, so from all of us here at PopX, thanks for listening, thanks for downloading, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being a part of the PopX family. If you liked our show, please visit our YouTube page. Be sure to click subscribe and tap the notification bell so you'll know when we go live next. Visit our Discord channel by clicking the QR code on screen during our live stream, or simply visit bit.ly/Creative Multiverse. Connect with us on social media by using @PopXcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.